Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to subscribe, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, heading back to the Church of the Seven Pillars, Cain kneels before the gods, able to re-enter their realm to speak with them. Asking the gods why they had granted him absurd amounts of power, Zenom agrees that they may have overstepped with Cain's stats, but states that there is nothing that can be done and instead offers Cain to become a demigod. Asking what demigods are, Zenom states that demigods are on par with mystic beasts and divine dragons. But even these powerful creatures have limits, prompting Zenom to warn Cain to not go overboard with his gifted power. Before Cain exits the realm, the gods state that it's quite boring as there is really nothing else to do, so they ask that Cain create a form of entertainment for them, preferably something that existed in his previous life. Cutting to Rain and Cain's mother shopping for dresses, Cain gets too embarrassed watching, running outside to get some fresh air. Spotting cat ears from afar, Cain recognizes Parma, running over to greet her. Noting how it's been 5 years since they both spoke, Cain states that he's here for his debut in the capital, prompting Parma to state that she is training here at her uncle's shop. Introducing her uncle Tammany's to Cain, Parma states that Cain is a noble, making Tammany's nervous, but Cain asks that Tammany's be casual with him, heading into the store to check it out. Scoping out the items, Cain gets an idea for an item they could create, asking for Tammany's help. Sketching out his checkerboard game, Cain impresses Tammany's, who notes how Cain's idea should be simple to create and mass produce whilst also being easy to learn. Happy to hear Tammany's is on board, Cain gives Tammany's a gold coin, flustering Tammany's as quite a huge amount of money, but Cain states that he believes Tammany's will put the gold coin to good use, prompting Tammany's to swear as the head of the Saracen company that he'll succeed with this project. Heading back outside, Cain realizes that he had left Rain's side, angering her as she wanted to show off the dresses she had bought, but Cain compliments Rain's beauty, making her immediately forgive Cain for leaving. A couple of days later, Cain returns to Tammany's store, amazed that Tammany's was able to recreate the game he had in mind, naming it Reversi, like the game in his previous life. Playing through the game as a test run, Cain states that it's perfect, which Parma and Tammany's both agree as well. Seeing as this will be a popular product, Cain suggests that they need to create different versions of the product to cater to different people. Cain suggests creating 50 noble versions and 1,000 regular versions, and after the first release they'll see if they can get more backing to mass produce them. Thinking for a minute, Tammany's states that he is unsure if he'll have enough money to be profitable with the creation of these products, but Cain interrupts, handing Tammany's several more gold coins to help kickstart their production. Before they begin production, Tammany's states that they must now make a contract with the god of commerce, stating that once a contract is created, no one else will be able to create the same product for 3 years. With Cain and Tammany's placing their hands above the Reversi board they created, the board is gifted to the gods, officially sealing the contract. With the contract all set up, Cain states that they should sort everything out within a month, but before he leaves asks that Tammany's create an additional special board for the royal family, shocking Tammany's and Parma, noting how Cain has quite the connections. Remembering that his debut is today, we cut to Cain in a carriage with his parents, warned by his father that since Cain has already accumulated quite a lot of attention, he must be very careful as to not be seduced by other noble daughters. Entering the massive room, Cain begins walking around, spotting the noble Corgino that had attempted to refute Cain's baron status from the king along with his son. Knowing that they will be trouble, Cain purposely avoids them, spotting Silk and her father Eric. Realizing that their meeting was in private, Cain and his father reintroduce themselves, prompting Eric and Silk to reintroduce themselves. Admiring Silk's beauty, Cain begins flirting with Silk, but they are both interrupted by Eric, who states that Cain shouldn't so openly flirt with his daughter. As Cain and his parents head elsewhere, Cain's father notes how Cain is quite the player, but Cain states that he simply compliments girls, just like how he compliments his sister. Just then, the king and his family make their triumphant entrance, thanking everyone for gathering here today. With Cain's family's turn to reintroduce themselves to the king, Cain compliments Tellus's beauty, making Tellus blush, but the king clearly isn't fond of the open flirtiness. Taking out the especially crafted Reversi board, Cain manages to catch the king's attention, thanking Kane for such an interesting gift, but the king states that he needs to privately chat with Kane later. As Kane's family heads away from the royal family, Kane's father is impressed that Kane has started to think of ways to generate money, but states that he and Kane's mother have some things to attend to, leaving Kane alone. Just then, Silk appears, offering Kane a drink, sitting down and having a chat. Happy to be alone with Kane, Silk teases Kane, offering to call Kane master, but Kane refuses such a bold nickname. Before Silk can flirt with Kane further, they are interrupted by Corgino's son Habit and his sidekicks who admire Silk's beauty. Formally greeting Habit, Kane is scolded by Habit and his sidekicks, demanding Kane to kneel before him. When Kane refuses, Habit challenges Kane to a duel, demanding they head outside. Wondering why Silk had followed him, Silk teases Kane, stating that she was worried about him, but as Kane attempts to push Silk away, both Kane and Silk notice one of his sidekicks beginning to cast a spell. Watching as the sidekick embarrassingly chants a spell, they are both disappointed to see the sidekick's pathetic fireball spell, only to chuckle at the other sidekick's pathetic rock spell. Having had enough, Silk steps up stating that Habit and his sidekicks are clearly unaware of who Kane is, stating that he was recently granted the title of Baron, shocking Habit and his men, as they are aware of a kid that had recently single-handedly defeated an entire orc army alone. Profusely apologizing for disrespecting Kane, Habit and his men disappear, prompting Silk to state that she knows that Kane had purposely not revealed his Baron status to Habit, knowing that Habit and his men would embarrass themselves. Threatening to tell Tellus about Kane's naughty side, Silk promises to keep Kane's naughtiness today a secret if he goes on a date with her, but before he can answer, Tellus arrives. Before Silk can reveal what Kane's secret is, Kane blocks her mouth, giving Tellus the wrong idea, even more shocked when she hears that Kane is going on a date with Silk. Wanting to know the reason for Silk clinging to Kane and Kane's reason for going on a date with Silk, all of a sudden, Kane apologizes as it's a secret, but when he sees Tellus getting jealous, Kane promises to go on a date with Tellus as well. Unfortunately, Kane doesn't notice the king behind Tellus, scolding Kane for openly flirting with his daughter. Later that day, Kane privately meets with the king and Eric, teaching the king Reversi, asking that Kane keep this board game a secret from the outside world. Kane pushes back, stating that he wants everyone to enjoy the game. But as their game wraps up, they both warn Kane to stop flirting so openly with their daughters, placing their hands on Kane's shoulder, who notes their grips tightening. Check out one of our other videos on the screen or in the info card above. Subscribe, like and comment.